What's up, Coog? All right. Present but not accounted for. Wow. It's like I'm back in middle school, Buck. How was everybody's weekend? Well, I think it's safe to say the biggest matchup of the day is Georgia Tech. Wake and Coastal will be a good game. Barks, what's up? How you doing? Charlotte, North Carolina will be a great game, but I think the biggest game of the midweek is Georgia Tech. The sad thing is I believe it's not televised because it's a big charity event. It's at Truist Park, the Atlanta Braves Stadium, but it's not televised. And I think part of that is they want people to go to the game because all the proceeds, tickets, food, everything goes to the charity, which I get. But I would like to. I can't go. I'll be. I got a high school game tonight. But I think getting swept by West Virginia weekend was good. Yeah, West Virginia's good though, man. West Virginia is, and you know that. I mean, I'm sure you watched the whole series. But Smitty, what's up, man? It's been a while. How you doing? Thoughts on Western Kentucky? Well, let's go look at Western Kentucky and let's talk about what they're doing well. I mean, they're just killing the game. They're dominating in conference. They've been dominant all year. And we'll look at some of their bigger wins as well. All right. So Western Kentucky, and I'll pull this up for you guys. Yeah, I was there. I knew you were, Coog. I knew you were either watching. Let me move. What am I? Move this back here. You were either watching or at the game. Okay. So look at they're obviously being led offensively. They're 22-0 at home, 9-3 in Conference USA. Ryan Weidman is just dominating the baseball. 28 stolen bases as well. Yikes. 28 of 36. Is Georgia versus Georgia Tech being streamed tonight? I don't believe so, Zach. I don't think there's anywhere you can watch it. Let me just pause on Western. Smitty, don't worry, we'll get to Western Kentucky. But I'm going to try to see if there's any way. You would think there's some way to watch it, but I don't think there is because if you go to, even on Georgia Tech's tweet about it, they always include like where it's being streamed and it says not being streamed. I don't think so. Unfortunate, but okay. Let's get back to Western Kentucky. Offensively, they're hitting 319 as a team, really good. 87 doubles, 13 triples, 34 home runs, so a lot of extra base hits. Walk rate's pretty good. They're all above 10% as a team. A lot of stolen bases as a team, but a lot of that is due to Weidman. He's got to be up there in the country in stolen bases. In 36 games, he's had 36 stolen base attempts in 28. But look at their pitching, guys. The offense is really good, but the pitching's just elite. I mean, look at 2.64 ERA. Two of their starters are in the ones in ERA. They're not walking a lot of guys. They're striking out a good amount of guys. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 of their arms have a 3.18 ERA or lower, which is just insane. And so again, the pitching's a strength. You look at, they got 313 innings pitched, 116 walks. So they're almost at a third. Every 3 innings they're walking a guy. They're just not giving up base runners, which is going to lead to wins. A 217 opponent batting average. So just across the board, really strong, and the pitching's elite. Let's look at some of these. All right, let's go to base. Jeez. Watch me fail trying to click these things. Okay. Can I find their schedule? Okay, let's look at their schedule. Saw Ethan Lisma play at GCSC. Good to see him having success at the D1 level. Oh, for Western Kentucky. Always cool when guys you watch play at JUCO have success at the next level. Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not a massive jump, from D1. I mean, again, if you go to the SEC or the ACC, it may be it's a little bit of a jump, but it's not like a massive jump. So and that's why the portals are. I mean, JUCO guys are even have always been highly sought after, but I mean, it's just like if you can play at any level, like you should have success at the D1 level. All right, so let's see here. So Illinois State, let's see what their big wins are against. So Kennesaw State beat them. Good for Kennesaw State. Lost to Vandy in extras, 10 innings, but played them really close. Beat Dallas Baptist. So won the series against Dallas Baptist. Swept Liberty this past weekend. So I mean, they're just dominating the field. They play Louisville today. That'll be a good test for them. But I mean, to be honest, they just set themselves up. And watch out for Western Kentucky. Whoever gets that, I mean, again, if they just finish really, really, really dominant, who knows? Maybe they get a host if they win the conference, or maybe even in that large. Even though I think there are some mid majors ahead of them in the hosting category, but that's a team you do not want in your regional, right? You do not want this team in your regional. So Smitty, I hope that answered it, man. Again, they're just playing well on all. On every aspect of the game, defensively, offensively, and their pitching's elite. Yeah, so the games that are live right now, it's just Little Rock and Ole Miss, and Little Rock is winning right now, but it's just a fourth. Or top of the fifth, I guess. Zach's updating us live. Let's go to... But big weekend this weekend. I mean, Georgia Tech moved into first place in the ACC. Again, there hasn't been one weekend where you're like, oh, they had an off weekend yet. They've played great in the midweek. Their only loss in midweek was to Auburn last week, and it was a one-run game. And then Auburn went on to sweep LSU. Right? So that's an even better loss for Georgia Tech. And again, the remaining part of their schedule, they got Miami coming. They go to Miami this weekend, and then they play Duke, Virginia, and one more. I'm trying to see who it is, and Louisville. And Duke and Virginia are right now at 9-9 in conference. Right, Georgia Tech has really positioned themselves well. They're one win away from being 15 wins in the ACC, which is like you're definitely making the tournament. And they got 12 games to go. So very, very, if they just go 500 the rest of the way, they're 20-10 in the ACC and probably a host if they go 500 the rest of the way. Now, in the SEC, it's Bark in the Park night Saturday at Miami. Kane said he's bringing both dogs. I know he is. Canes will be there probably all three games. But Georgia beat Arkansas last weekend. I'll pull this up for the conference standings in the SEC. Zoom in a little bit for you guys. And these side page ads. All right, so right now you have Texas at the top. You got Arkansas, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU. These are the top 4 seeds that would be in the SEC tournament right now. Obviously, you got Ole Miss and Auburn right on the heels. Alabama, who started out really strong, 8-7 in the SEC, but they're still doing well. I mean, they're 29-8, right? All of their losses have been in the SEC. And again, I've told you guys, once SEC play started, you're going to see teams that are like, Alabama was top 10. Auburn is in the top 10. A lot of these teams that were top 15 type teams have started to kind of even out in SEC play. Missouri 0-15. Mizzou has a real chance at 0-30. Yeah, I mean they just don't have. They're the one team. I mean, South Carolina's talented. They're just not playing well. Florida did a good job this weekend. I mean, albeit against Missouri. Mississippi State at 5-10. Like they got to start playing better. A&M's playing really well now, but they still have a long way to go, right, to make it to the tournament. Same with Kentucky. And then all these other teams are very well positioned. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right now you got 10 teams in the SEC you think are probably, as long as they play the way they've played, locks for the SEC tournament for the NCAA tournament, I should say. And then you have these two right here, Kentucky and A&M. Like, how many teams from the SEC are going to get in? That's the question. Is it going to be 12? Because A&M's in if it's 12. But you don't want to be that number 12 spot. Let's look at the RPI. So no surprise, a lot of SEC teams atop the RPI rankings. Arkansas, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Auburn. Then you have Clemson, Vandy, Coastal Carolina at 8. Again, Coastal Carolina 11-4 in conference. Right now, they're looking like the mid-major host. They're looking like the mid-major host, but you do have some other teams in that conversation. LSU, Oregon State, Alabama, Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Florida State. So these 3 teams right here are neck and neck in the RPI rankings. When are Lodis and Schmidt coming back? That's a good question, Zach. I mean, I know with Schmidt, it's a staph infection, so I mean, it unfortunately, that's kind of like you never know how long. It's been a month now. So maybe he gets back this weekend. I'm not sure. Lodis, again, he didn't play all weekend. He was in uniform. And from what I heard, it was day-to-day when he missed Tuesday against Auburn. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's back tonight against Georgia. But with how well what they've done in ACC play, they may just say, you know what, let's just wait until this weekend to make sure he's 100% healthy and everything like that. But I don't think there really hasn't been a timetable set for when he returns. Even though, again, I think it could be any game now. Do you like the new Sunday pitcher for Georgia Tech? Yes. Caden Spivey. So if we pull up Georgia Tech's numbers now, Spivey has looked great in his 2 starts. I think he's gone 5 innings both starts, like 1 or 2 runs, not walking anybody in both starts. It's funny because out of the bullpen, he had walked a decent amount of guys, like not a crazy high amount, but he was walking like 1 every 2 innings, or maybe a little bit even more than that. In both his starts, he's been lights out, and he's had 4 starts on the year, but both of his starts on the weekend, he's looked lights out. Not giving up a whole lot of hits, striking out 1 per inning, and yeah, and again, on Sunday for Georgia Tech, it's just like, man, if you can get 5 innings, 3 or 4 runs given up, you feel really good. Brady Jones has looked a lot better on Saturday. So the Georgia Tech pitching staff is just really coming together. Spivey really has locked down that spot. He's come in and really performed well. And it makes Georgia Tech stronger over 3 games now, much stronger over 3 games. And I know today for the Georgia Tech-Georgia game, it's going to be a bullpen game. I think both teams are starting with openers, so there's going to be a lot of different arms in the game today. Miami's 2 freshman pitchers on Saturday and Sunday are really going to be tested against a top 5 offense in the country. Yep, they are, and that's why the matchup for Miami is really not good, because from a starting pitching perspective, you feel like Georgia Tech. I think Hughes probably is the best arm on the weekend, and Saturday, Sunday, it's just like it's probably going to get into a slugfest, and just Miami has not put up the type of runs to win Saturday and Sunday. You think they have a shot on Friday with Hughes throwing, but Tate McKee's been really good for Georgia Tech. Are you going to the game tonight? No, I'm not, because I have a high school game to go to, and I can't really stream that long today just because it's actually a pretty far. It's a decent drive. It's actually down to my old high school. We're playing my old high school today, so that's going to be fun to go back there. So I do have some updates, guys, on the... Let me see here 1 second. I do have some updates on the settlement, the House settlement. It's sounding like current players on rosters are going to be grandfathered in to the new rules. So what that could mean is that you will see teams with higher than 34-man roster spot with 34-man roster. Now that's unfortunate, because how many guys were cut this at the end of the fall because of these changes coming in? And one of Miami's best hitters, Derek Williams, is hurt and probably won't play this weekend. Yeah, that's tough. And we've talked about it, Zach. I mean, with Miami, the issue is, Daniel Cuvée, you can just tell that he's feeling... You can just tell that he feels like he's got to have big games every game to win. Cuvée got going this weekend, though. He hit 2 home runs and drove in a bunch of runs. Yeah, and again, he's always going to be a dangerous hitter, but I think a lot of this season for him has just been kind of pressing, because if he comes up, it's just like, if runner's on base, it's like I got to drive him in. I have to drive him in, because I don't feel like he feels like he can trust that the guys behind him can get the job done, which is unfortunate. I mean, let's go look at Miami. Miami stats on the year. All right, so here's Miami's stats on the year. So as a team, they're hitting 272. They've scored 250 runs in 37 games. Right, so they're scoring about 6 runs a game, which is tough. Pitching has really gone downhill. 5.34 ERA. And your best starting pitcher is Griffin Hughes, who's got a 4.1 ERA. He's got 59 strikeouts in 50 innings to 17 walks. And again, I mean, he's your best arm. And, they got a few bullpen guys that have pitched well. Tate Durias, Will Smith, even AJ Siskar has had some good outings. But outside of that, you just don't really have a lot of lockdown bullpen arms that you can go to if a starter's out quick. And so it's just going to be really tough for Miami against Georgia Tech. Booked my College World Series flight yesterday and got the pre-sale ticket announcement today. It's on Monday at 11 a.m. for anyone interested. Tickets much cheaper than if you buy later. Start at $15. Wow, $15. That's not, yeah, I mean, that's the key with anything, Buck, right? It's, you get those flights taken care of early and those tickets bought early. It's not nearly as bad as, because what, you know how it is what most guys wait for is they're going only if their team makes it. So by the time they know their team's making it, it's like the tickets are way more expensive. Lance Durham, what's up, Lance? Thanks for the content. Thoughts on Devin Taylor from Indiana University? Well, let's see what he's doing. 368, 10 homers, 2 triples, 7 doubles, 33 walks to 19 strikeouts. That's excellent. Almost double the walks to strikeouts. And 33 walks on 144 at bats and like 177 plate appearances, or a little bit more, about 180 plate appearances. I mean, again, he's almost at a 20% walk rate, which is elite. Probably gonna, he's a junior. Probably gonna get, pretty good draft interest out of Indiana. As far as where he gets drafted, I don't know. But I mean, those are the type of numbers where you're potential, your top 5 round pick, right? But it is really unfortunate that the Georgia Tech game is not televised, because that's going to be an electric game to watch. Hoping to see Georgia Tech there so we can stream live with Kyle at the stadium. Oh, that would be sick. Just inviting yourself to the stream, huh, Buck? Kyle, are you going to Omaha if Georgia Tech makes it? Oof. I definitely think about it. It's tough, man, with 2 little kids. It's tough. But I definitely think about it. Come on, coach. Coach's last run, bring in grandma and grandpa. Yeah, that's a good point. I'm very worried about our pitching versus Georgia Tech. This is probably the best offense we faced this year. And our lineup hurts now without Williams. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like if you feel like you have elite pitching against Georgia Tech, and again, Georgia Tech's pitching's been really good as well, right? Like that's not like the difference for Georgia Tech this year is that the pitching has actually been really good by the numbers. Now, for Georgia Tech, like once you get past Patel and Payton in the bullpen, you've had some other guys that have pitched well, but they're just not kind of the lockdown guys. But as a whole, Georgia Tech's pitching staff is a 4.19 ERA. They're not walking a lot of guys. They're striking out a good amount of guys. They have a 244 opponent batting average. So the pitching for Georgia Tech has been a lot stronger than in the last 6 years, right? The last 5-6 years, except for 2019, Georgia Tech's pitching has been, one of the worst in the country and definitely one of the worst in the ACC. So now the pitching is up there in the upper echelon of the ACC as far as numbers go. And so it's so hard to keep the offense down. If you have elite pitching against Georgia Tech, you feel like you can shut down the offense enough to win. But if you don't have elite pitching, it's just from what we've seen so far this year, it's just Georgia Tech just outscores and pummels your pitching. Right now, guys, Georgia Tech has 363 runs scored in 36 games. So they're averaging just over 10 runs a game. 10.03 runs a game, basically. And that's been without your leading hitter, Kent Schmidt, for a month. And Kyle Lodies didn't play the last 4 games. So it's just like the next guy up for Georgia Tech has just been, next guy up's done really well. And now you have John Giesler, who's really finding his form. After like a slow start coming back from injury, he had a huge weekend this past weekend. So it's really hard to envision Miami beating Georgia Tech. You think worst case scenario for Georgia Tech, they go 2 out of 3 and they're 16-5 in the ACC with 3 series left to go. Do you ever see a mid-major like Coastal or Fresno State winning in today's landscape of college baseball? It's definitely more difficult now. Don't get me wrong, Zach. I still think like the best mid-majors, like the Southern Miss right now, like your Southern Miss, your Troy, your Coastal Carolina, Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky, look at their pitching, man. Their pitching's been elite. So they can match up against anybody. But it's just a question of depth, right? And when you get outside of the SEC and the ACC and you're in a regional, the hardest thing for the mid-majors is really winning the regional. Because if you got to go 4 or 5 games into a regional, at some point you're using pitchers that you don't really feel comfortable using against a really good team in big situations. So that's where it's gotten the most difficult for a mid-major. If they do make changes to the regional format, I think it becomes something that, like, let's say they move away from the regional format and they just go an extra round in the NCAA tournament and it's all weekend matchups. Then it becomes easier because you're covering a 3-game weekend. But the thing about a regional that's so difficult is if you get into the losers bracket, or you just lose against the 1 seed, in the first game against them, and you got to play with 1 win or 1 loss. You got to play so many games you get to that regional final. I mean, your pitchers are shot. And that's where it becomes so difficult. Now, once a mid-major gets into a super regional, then anything can happen. Do you think they will make changes to the regional format? I don't know how soon, but I do think they will. I do think, listen, college baseball has, the product for TV purposes has gotten so much bigger and so much better over the last 6 or 7 years that I feel like it makes even more sense to add an additional round into the tournament, add however many extra teams you got to add. Maybe it's I think it was like 12 extra teams. You make it like 70 whatever, 76 or whatever, to make it that extra extra round, and you make it kind of like a play-in round where the bottom 12 teams that got in have to play a weekend series beforehand, and like the highest seeded teams are have a buy into like the round of 64, something like that. I do think that ends up happening just because you're getting way more TV ratings, you're making more money from the TV broadcasts, stuff like that. I mean, will it happen? I don't know. I do know there's a lot of people in the industry that want that to happen, because the regional format is unlike anything you play in the entire series or season, except for your conference tournaments. Right. And they've done a good job with the conference tournaments now, especially like the ACC changing up their conference tournament to where like the highest seeded teams don't have to play that many games. But I do think you want the NCAA tournament to be as season-like as possible. And the regionals, albeit they're very exciting, right? And that's something that could keep that format staying like that. It's just not like anything you do in the season. And again, from coaching and playing in regionals, you get to that regional final game, and if you're like the 2 seed, and so you gotta win, you gotta beat the 1 seed twice in a row. At the end of the day, you're throwing guys that have like 5 innings on the year, and it's just like almost impossible to win that last game. Seems like every week now it's just a new SEC team being ranked number 1. Yeah, it is, because the SEC is just like, it's so tightly contested. Again, there's like 10 teams in the SEC that are legit. Carter Hayes, he must have just got out of class. Carter, get on the bus. Get on the bus. I'm about to leave here too. Plus, ESPN dropping MLB, so looking for more June content. They just announced they'll be broadcasting some Savannah Banana games. Oh my gosh. But yeah, Buck, that's a good point. The ESPN dropping MLB could be. Yes, Carter, I'll be there today. I got back in late last night. So that could be part of it, Buck, that ESPN's looking for more June content. That's a good point. Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas. Yeah, and it's probably going to keep changing, Zach. Like it's probably going to keep changing. Because when you're facing like a top 10 team almost every week, like you're going to have a week where you're going to have a weekend where you lose. That's just how it is. The Savannah Bananas were featured on 60 Minutes. Yeah, I saw it. I did. I saw it, Zach. The district tournaments already start this week in Florida. Yeah, I think we have playoffs coming up in like a week and a half. Carter, I'm going to be a banana. Stop. No, you're not. Not yet. Some MLB teams starting to adopt SB gimmicks for crowd engagement. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong, man. Bryce. You're in timeout, Bryce. Isn't Wiley Ballard one of your boys? Did you see him go viral last night for getting those girls' numbers? Yeah, I texted him. I texted him with the tweet, and I was like, "You dog." That was pretty funny, though. It was pretty funny. Yeah, Wiley. I've known Wiley for probably 10 years, and I've done a bunch of broadcasts with him at Georgia Tech, and he's well deserved, man. What he's doing with the Braves, like he's a really good broadcaster, and he also kind of stays in his lane. Like one thing about Wiley that I love is that he knows the game really well, but he's like not afraid to be like to ask an analyst or a question what you think the was wrong with the play or anything like that. Like he's just very good. He's got the voice for what he does. And I think he's got a bright future in broadcasting, but that was hilarious that they were like, hey, you got 5 innings, Wiley, to get the numbers. And then he was just like, hey, they want me to get your number. And it was hilarious because the girl's like, oh, they want you to get my number? I'm going to have to text him and be like, hey, so did you text that girl? Coach, Coleman wants to know if we can leave a little later. He's not ready. Nope. Leave him. All right, guys. I got to actually get ready to go for the game tonight. Carter, make sure you're on the bus. Bryce, make sure you're on the bus. Everyone else, I'll see you guys probably later tonight for a stream after the